The discovery. The stars in the frontier region burned with an ancient light that had traveled thousands of years to reach this empty corner of space. Commander Recon stood on the observation deck of the Silent Talon, watching those distant suns through the reinforced viewport. His reflection stared back at him, a weathered face marked by 30 cycles of service to the Galactic Empire. The scales along his jaw had dulled with age, and his eyes carried the weight of too many battles. The Silent Talon was a masterpiece of Draknari engineering. Built for reconnaissance and espionage, the ship could slip through enemy territory without leaving a trace. Its hull absorbed sensor waves like a sponge drinks water. Its engines ran so cold that even thermal scanners would miss it. For 2 decades, Recon had commanded this vessel, gathering intelligence on rival powers, mapping uncharted systems, and watching the Empire's enemies from the shadows. Today's mission should have been routine. High Command had detected unusual energy readings near the frontier, the border region between Draknari space and the territories claimed by dozens of lesser species. Pirates sometimes gathered there, thinking themselves safe from Imperial patrols. Recon's orders were simple: investigate, identify, report, and return. Nothing complicated. Nothing dangerous, but something felt wrong. Recon had learned to trust his instincts over 3 decades of service. The emptiness of this region bothered him. Space was never truly empty, yet here the usual background noise of cosmic radiation felt muted, dampened somehow. Even the stars seemed dimmer than they should be. His second officer, Therax, approached with a data tablet in hand. Therax was young, barely 8 cycles of service, but sharp-minded and efficient. His scales still gleamed with the bright green of youth. "Commander, we are approaching the coordinates specified by High Command," Therax said. "Sensor range in 15 minutes. Maintain stealth protocols," Recon ordered. "Full passive scanning only. I want to know what we're dealing with before they know we're here." "Understood, Commander." Recon followed Therax to the bridge. The command center of the Silent Talon was dimly lit, designed to preserve the crew's night vision during covert operations. 6 officers worked at their stations, each a specialist in their field. These were hand-picked warriors, the best the Empire could offer. Lieutenant Sareth, the tactical officer, looked up from her console as Recon entered. Her golden eyes reflected the glow of her displays. "Commander, I'm beginning to pick up gravitational distortions ahead. Something massive is out there." "Define massive," Recon said, taking his seat in the command chair. Sareth's fingers danced across her holographic controls, refining the sensor data. "Sir, the readings are unusual. I'm detecting waves in space-time itself, like ripples on water. Whatever is causing this has significant mass. A natural phenomenon? Perhaps a rogue planet or dense asteroid field?" "No, Commander. The pattern is too regular, too organized. This is artificial." Recon felt a chill run along his spine. "How many objects are we detecting?" Sareth adjusted the sensors, focusing them on the source of the gravitational distortion. Numbers scrolled across her screen. Her expression changed from curiosity to disbelief. "Commander, I'm reading over 300 discrete objects." "Maybe more." "The readings are overlapping, making it difficult to get an exact count." 300 objects. That was more than a pirate gathering. That was a fleet, a massive fleet. "Identify them," Recon commanded, his voice sharp. The sensor officer, Keldar, worked his station with practiced efficiency. He pulled up the Empire's extensive database of known vessels, comparing the sensor signatures against thousands of recorded profiles. The analysis took several minutes. When Keldar looked up, his face had gone pale beneath his scales. "Commander, the signatures match human vessels." The bridge fell silent. Every officer stopped what they were doing and turned to look at their commander. The word hung in the air like poison gas. Humans. Recon knew about humans, of course. Every officer in the Draknari Empire knew about them. They were a relatively new species on the galactic stage, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 200 years ago. The Empire's intelligence reports painted them as barely civilized primitives who had stumbled upon basic fusion technology and crude FTL drives. According to those reports, humans were no threat. Their ships were slow, their weapons primitive kinetic projectiles and chemical rockets. Their technology was generations behind the Draknari. They controlled only a handful of star systems and had established a few scattered colonies on marginal worlds that nobody else wanted. But 300 ships changed that assessment completely. "Move us closer," Recon ordered. Maximum stealth. I want visual confirmation. The silent Talon crept forward through the void, its engines barely whispering. The ship was designed for exactly this kind of operation, sliding through space like a ghost. The crew worked in tense silence, each officer focused on their task. As they approached, the sensor readings became clearer and more detailed. Sareth gasped audibly at her tactical display. "Commander, these readings cannot be correct. There must be a malfunction in the sensors." Vecren moved to stand beside her station. "What are you seeing?" "Sir, the power signatures from these vessels are enormous. The largest ships are reading at 10 times the output of our heaviest dreadnoughts. Their reactor cores are generating energy levels that should be physically impossible with conventional fusion technology. Check the sensors again. Run a full diagnostic." Sareth's hands flew across her controls, running every test protocol in the manual. Keldar joined her, cross-referencing the data from multiple sensor arrays. The science officer Praxis analyzed the readings from a physics perspective. After 10 minutes of intensive checking, they all reached the same conclusion. The readings were accurate. "How is this possible?" Therax whispered. "Our intelligence report said humans were decades behind us. Perhaps a century behind in some technologies. These ships are more advanced than anything in the Imperial fleet." Vecren stared at the tactical display, his mind racing. The human fleet moved through space in perfect formation, each ship positioned with mathematical precision. The formation pattern was sophisticated, showing advanced military doctrine. Heavy ships anchored the center, surrounded by screening vessels and support craft. It was the kind of tactical arrangement that took centuries of warfare experience to develop. "Show me their course," Vecren commanded. The navigation officer, Thyron, plotted the human fleet's trajectory on the main view screen. A red line appeared, cutting through space toward the inner systems of Draknari territory. "They're heading directly into Imperial space," Thyron reported. "If they maintain this course and speed, they will reach the outer colonies in 12 standard days. An invasion." The humans were launching an invasion of the Draknari Empire, but something about it did not make sense to Vecren. If the humans wanted to invade, why move so openly? Why use a fleet this large and visible? A smaller strike force could have penetrated deeper into Imperial space before being detected. This fleet was impossible to hide. Every sensor station within 100 light-years would detect them, unless they wanted to be seen. Vecren pushed the thought aside. His duty was clear. He needed to gather intelligence and report back to High Command immediately. "Prepare a priority transmission," he ordered. "Encrypt it at the highest level. Include all sensor data, fleet composition, trajectory, everything. High Command needs to know about this immediately." The communications officer, Marana, began compiling the data. As she worked, Praxis called out from the science station. "Commander, I have been analyzing their engine signatures. The humans appear to be using some form of contained singularity drive. The technology is unlike anything in our database." "What does that mean in practical terms?" "It means their ships can travel faster and farther than ours while using less fuel. If these readings are accurate, a human vessel could cross our entire empire in the time it takes one of our ships to traverse a single sector." The implications were staggering. The humans did not just have more ships. They had better technology across the board. Better engines, better weapons, better power generation, everything. Where did this technology come from? Sareth wondered aloud. How did they advance so quickly? "That is a question for the intelligence division," Vecren said. "Our job is to observe and report." "Transmission ready, Commander," Marana announced. "Send it." The message burst outward through quantum-encrypted channels. It would take time to reach High Command. They were 40 light-years away, but they needed to know immediately. The Draknari Empire needed to know that humanity was no longer a minor annoyance. They had become a genuine threat. "What do we do now, Commander?" Therax asked. Vecren studied the human fleet on the main display. 300 ships, maybe more, all of them more powerful than anything the Draknari had. "We follow them. We maintain stealth. We gather every scrap of intelligence we can, and we do not let them know we are here." The crew acknowledged their orders and returned to their stations. The silent Talon fell into position behind the human fleet, staying far enough back to avoid detection but close enough to monitor their movements. Hours passed. The human fleet maintained its course with mechanical precision. No deviations, no pauses, no signs of hesitation. They moved like a machine with a single purpose: Vekrin remained on the bridge, watching, thinking. His mind worked through scenarios and possibilities. What would High Command do when they received his message? They would have to assemble a battle fleet, the largest military response in generations. They would intercept the humans before they could penetrate deeper into Imperial space. But could the Draknari win? Vekrin looked at the power readings again, at the impossible technology, at the perfect tactical formations. He was not certain. "Commander," Praxis called out, "I have been analyzing the communication patterns between the human ships. They are using quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication across their entire fleet. That technology is theoretical for us. We have not been able to make it work reliably. The humans are using it as standard equipment. What else have you found?" "Their weapon systems are equally advanced. I am detecting plasma cannons with energy outputs far beyond our own, missile systems with guidance technology I cannot even identify, and something else, something I do not understand at all. There are energy signatures that do not match any known weapon profile." "Unknown weapons are the most dangerous kind," Vekrin said quietly. Therax approached the command chair. He spoke softly so the rest of the crew would not hear. "Commander, may I speak freely?" "Go ahead. What if they know we are here?" Vekrin looked at his second officer. Therax was young, but he was not foolish. "Our stealth technology has never failed. The silent Talon is invisible to sensors. Human sensors, perhaps. But Commander, everything we thought we knew about human technology was wrong. What if their sensors are as advanced as everything else? What if they can see through our stealth?" It was a terrifying thought. Vekrin studied the human fleet again, looking for any sign that they had detected the silent Talon. But the humans maintained their course without deviation. They showed no indication of awareness. "If they knew we were here, they would have acted by now," Vekrin said. But even as he spoke the words, doubt gnawed at him. 3 full days passed. The silent Talon followed the human fleet like a shadow, gathering massive amounts of intelligence. Every hour brought new discoveries, new reasons for concern. The humans had artificial intelligence systems coordinating their fleet movements. AI warfare systems were banned by the Treaty of Galactic Peace after the machine wars nearly destroyed civilization 2,000 years ago. But the humans either did not know about the treaty or did not care. Their ships had adaptive shielding that could reconfigure itself to counter different types of weapons. Their hull materials were self-repairing, using nanotechnology that the Draknari had only recently begun to research. Their crew quarters suggested long-duration missions, with hydroponic gardens and advanced life support that could sustain a crew for years without resupply. These were not invasion ships hastily assembled for a quick strike. These were vessels designed for extended campaigns, for occupying and holding territory, for projecting power across vast distances. On the 3rd day, Mirana received a response from High Command. Vekrin read the message in private. The Imperial High Council was taking the threat seriously. They were assembling a war fleet of 200 vessels, the largest military response in 3 generations. They would intercept the humans at the Nexus Point, a strategic location where multiple hyperspace lanes converged. The message included updated orders for the Silent Talon. Maintain surveillance at all costs. Do not engage. Do not reveal position. The success of the entire operation depended on the humans not knowing they were being watched. Vekrin put down the data tablet and returned to the bridge. He looked at his crew. They were exhausted. 3 days of constant monitoring had worn them down. But they were professionals. They would endure. "Commander," Keldar called out suddenly, "the human fleet is adjusting course. They are angling toward the Nexus Point." That should have been good news. It meant the Draknari fleet would be perfectly positioned to intercept them. But Vekrin felt only growing unease. The humans were going exactly where the Draknari wanted them to go, exactly where they would be trapped, unless the trap was meant for someone else. "Maintain position," Vekrin ordered. "Continue monitoring." But as he watched the human fleet adjust course with perfect precision, as he saw them move deliberately toward the ambush point, a cold certainty settled over him. The humans knew. They had known all along. And Vekrin had just led the Draknari Empire's entire war fleet into whatever trap the humans had prepared. Before he could voice this realization, every system on the Silent Talon flickered. Just for a moment, barely noticeable. But Vecren saw it, and from the expressions on his crew's faces, they saw it too. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong, and they were about to find out exactly what humanity was truly capable of. The shutdown. The flicker lasted only a fraction of a second, but it sent ice through Commander Vecren's veins. In 30 cycles of commanding the Silent Talon, he had never seen the ship's systems behave that way. Every display, every console, every light on the bridge had wavered simultaneously, as if the entire vessel had taken a breath. "Report," Vecren ordered sharply. Keldar ran diagnostics on his sensor array. "All systems showing normal, Commander. No malfunctions detected. Praxis, check the power grid." The science officer's hands moved across his controls, analyzing the ship's energy distribution. "Power output is stable, Commander. Reactor core is operating within normal parameters. I see no anomalies." But Vecren trusted his instincts more than diagnostic reports. Something had just happened. Something subtle and wrong. "Mirana, check our communication systems. Make certain our encryption is still intact." The communications officer began a deep scan of their transmission protocols. As she worked, her expression changed from confidence to confusion to alarm. "Commander, there is something attached to our communication array. A signal piggyback. It has been there since we arrived in this system." The bridge went silent. Every officer turned to stare at Mirana. "What kind of signal?" Vecren demanded. "I do not know, sir. It is extremely faint. Our systems did not register it as a signal at all. It appears as background noise, but the pattern is too structured. Too deliberate. Someone has been listening to every transmission we have sent." Therax moved closer to Vecren's command chair. His voice was barely a whisper. "The humans. They have been monitoring us from the beginning." Before Vecren could respond, every light on the bridge went dark. The darkness was absolute and suffocating. The constant hum of the engines died instantly. The whisper of air through ventilation systems stopped. Even the subtle vibration that always thrummed through the deck plates vanished completely. The Silent Talon had become truly silent in the most terrifying way possible. Vecren felt himself begin to float as artificial gravity failed. His stomach lurched. In the blackness, he heard his crew calling out in confusion and fear. "Emergency lighting," someone shouted. "Where are the emergency lights?" "Engineering, this is the bridge. Report status immediately. I cannot access my console. Nothing is responding. Life support. Someone check life support." Vecren groped in the darkness, searching for the armrest of his command chair. His hand found metal and he gripped it tightly, using it to anchor himself as he floated in zero gravity. His mind raced through possibilities. This could not be a simple power failure. The Silent Talon had multiple redundant systems, isolated circuits, backup generators that operated independently. Even if the main reactor failed catastrophically, they should have emergency power, but they had nothing. Just darkness and silence and the sound of his crew's frightened breathing. "Everyone remain calm," Vecren called out, forcing authority into his voice. "We will resolve this. Praxis, can you access engineering through manual backup systems?" "Commander, I cannot access anything. My console is completely dead. But we are still breathing, so life support must be functioning on some level." Small comfort. They were alive for now, but without power, without systems, they were helpless. A dead ship drifting in space, was this a weapons hit? Sareth asked from somewhere in the darkness. "Did the humans attack us?" "I detected no weapons fire," Keldar replied. "But my sensors went offline before I could verify." Vecren's mind worked furiously. The timing was too perfect to be coincidence. Right after they discovered the communication compromise, right after they realized the humans had been listening, everything had shut down. The humans had done this somehow, but how? How could they disable every system on a Drachnary vessel simultaneously from thousands of kilometers away? His command console suddenly flickered to life. The unexpected light was blinding after the absolute darkness. Vecren squinted at the screen, his eyes adjusting painfully. Text appeared on the display, but it was not in standard Drachnary system format. The words were in perfect Drachnary script, clear and precise. "Commander Vecren of the Silent Talon, we need to talk." The entire crew stared at the message in stunned silence. Then the main view screen activated with a soft glow. Vecren found himself looking at a human female. She appeared to be middle-aged by human standards, though Vecren had limited experience judging human ages. Her hair was dark and pulled back severely from her face. She wore a crisp uniform of deep blue with silver insignia on the shoulders. Her expression was calm, professional, and somehow friendly despite the circumstances. When she spoke, the words came through the bridge speakers in flawless Draknari. Not translated with the awkward pauses of machine interpretation, but perfect native speech. Good evening, Commander Vecren. My name is Captain Elena Rodriguez. I command the human expeditionary fleet that you have been following for the past 3 days. I apologize for the dramatic interruption, but we need to have a conversation, and I needed your complete attention. Vecren found his voice, though it came out rough. What have you done to my ship? We have temporarily disabled your primary systems, Captain Rodriguez replied. Her tone was matter-of-fact, as if discussing the weather. Communications, weapons, and propulsion are offline. Life support and basic environmental systems are functioning normally. As you can see, gravity is being restored now. As she spoke, Vecren felt weight returning. The artificial gravity was coming back online smoothly and gradually. He settled back into his command chair, though his hands remained gripped on the armrests. This is an act of war, Vecren said. Captain Rodriguez tilted her head slightly. Is it? Your vessel has been conducting military surveillance in what we consider our territory. You have been gathering intelligence for an attack on our fleet. By your own laws, Commander, that makes you a hostile combatant. We would be well within our rights to destroy the Silent Talon, yet here we are having a conversation. Then why have you not destroyed us? Because we do not want to, Commander. Humanity has no desire for war with the Draknari Empire. We know you have been following us. We have known since the moment you entered the system 3 days ago. Therax inhaled sharply. Sareth muttered something under her breath. Vecren felt as if he had been struck. Everything you have observed, every piece of data you have collected was carefully curated. Captain Rodriguez continued. We allowed you to see what we wanted you to see. We knew you would report to your high command. We knew they would respond by assembling a war fleet. We knew they would plan an ambush at the nexus point. You wanted us to gather a fleet? Vecren could not understand the logic. Why? To demonstrate something important. To show you and your empire exactly what would happen if that fleet engages us. Captain Rodriguez's expression grew serious. Commander, we have intercepted and decrypted every communication between your ship and high command. All of them. We know about your empire's plans for human space, resource extraction protocols, population management directives, labor conscription quotas, lovely euphemisms for invasion, conquest, and slavery. Vecren felt ice in his stomach. The classified briefings, the strategic plans, the documents he had read and tried to forget. She knew. The humans knew everything. Your war fleet consists of 200 vessels, Captain Rodriguez said. An impressive response. The largest military mobilization your empire has undertaken in generations. But Commander, they are sailing into a trap. Our trap. The view screen changed, displaying technical schematics in Draknari format. Vecren recognized them immediately. They were complete system diagrams of the Silent Talon. Every circuit, every processor, every isolated network. Information that should have been impossible for outsiders to obtain. This is the exact architecture of your ship, Captain Rodriguez explained. We did not hack your systems, Commander. We did not break through your security. We simply turned everything off, simultaneously. From a distance of 30,000 kilometers, every system, including the isolated backups that have no physical connection to your main network. She paused, letting the implications sink in. Now imagine we do the same thing to your entire war fleet. 200 vessels, all systems offline at the same moment. Weapons dead, engines cold, shields down, navigation disabled. What do you think happens then, Commander? Vecren could not answer. He knew exactly what would happen. It would be a massacre. The Draknari fleet would be helpless, drifting in space, unable to fight or flee. The humans could destroy them at leisure without suffering a single casualty. We will not do that, Captain Rodriguez said softly. We do not want to kill your people, Commander. But we will defend ourselves if we must. Which is why I need you to send a message to your high command. Tell them to stand down. Tell them to recall the war fleet. Tell them that engaging humanity would not be a war. It would be suicide. The view screen changed again, showing a simple timer counting down from 1 hour. You have 60 minutes to compose your message, Commander. We have restored your communications for this purpose. Though weapons and propulsion will remain offline. When the hour expires, we will speak again. Choose wisely. The lives of 15,000 Draknari crew members depend on your decision. The transmission ended. Captain Rodriguez's image faded. The bridge lights came back on fully, bright and normal. Vecren's crew stared at each other in shocked silence. The timer counted down. 59 minutes, 58, 57. Commander, Therak said quietly. What do we do? What did they do? The question seemed simple, but the answer was impossibly complex. Vecren could send the message. He could warn High Command. He could tell them about the human capabilities, about the system shutdown, about everything. He could potentially save 15,000 lives. But doing so would mean admitting defeat. Admitting that the Draknari Empire had encountered a force they could not overcome. Admitting that humanity, the species they had dismissed as primitive scavengers, was actually far beyond them technologically. We need to analyze what just happened, Vecren said, forcing his voice to remain steady. Praxis, explain how they did this. The science officer had been working frantically at his console since the lights returned. Commander, it is extraordinary. Every system failed at precisely the same moment. Not just the primary systems, but everything. Even the isolated circuits that have no connection to the main network. It is as if someone had a master control switch for our entire ship. Could it be some form of electromagnetic pulse weapon? No, sir. EMP damage has characteristic signatures. This is completely different. The systems are not damaged at all. They were simply turned off, cleanly and precisely. The reactor shutdown sequence was executed perfectly. Every safety protocol followed correctly. Someone shut down our reactor properly, as if they had physical access to the engineering controls. That is impossible, Sareth protested. Our reactor controls are air-gapped. They have no wireless interface. Nothing can access them remotely. I know, Praxis said. That is what makes this so terrifying. They did not hack us, Commander. They controlled our systems directly, from 30,000 kilometers away, as if they had hands on every control panel simultaneously. Keldar spoke up from the sensor station. I have been analyzing our communication logs. The captain was correct. We have been compromised since we arrived. But it goes deeper than signal piggybacking. Our own systems were reprogrammed to add those monitoring signals automatically. The modifications are written into our core firmware. When? Vecren demanded. When did they reprogram us? I cannot determine that, Commander. The changes could have been made hours ago, days ago, or they could have been added the instant we entered sensor range. There is no way to tell. The timer showed 45 minutes remaining. Sareth slammed her fist on her console. This is impossible. How can the humans do this? How can they have technology so far beyond ours? It does not matter how, Therak said quietly. What matters is that they can. Commander, we have to send the message. We have to warn High Command. If we do not, the entire war fleet will be destroyed. And if we do send the message, Vecren replied, we will be admitting that the Draknari Empire cannot defeat humanity. We will be counseling surrender before a single shot has been fired. Is that not better than watching 15,000 of our people die? Vecren had no answer. He looked around his bridge at his crew. These were good soldiers. Loyal officers. They deserved better than this impossible choice. Show me the classified strategic assessment again, Vecren ordered. The documents about human space. Praxis hesitated. Commander, those files are classified. The crew does not have clearance. Show them. The science officer pulled up the files. The contents appeared on the main view screen where everyone could read them. The clinical language of imperial conquest, population management, resource extraction, labor conscription, plans to strip human worlds of everything valuable and reduce the human population to a controlled workforce. Vecren watched his crew's faces as they read, watched the moment they understood what their empire had been planning, what they had been gathering intelligence to facilitate. This is what we are defending, Vecren said quietly. These plans. This strategy. Not our territory, not our people. This. The bridge was silent except for the soft beeping of the countdown timer. 30 minutes remaining. Vecren made his decision. Open a channel to High Command, he ordered. Maximum encryption. Flag it as Priority Alpha, command level. Marana's hands moved across her console. Channel open, Commander. Vecren began composing the message. Every word had to be perfect, clear, honest, complete. He told them everything about the human fleet, about their capabilities, about the system shutdown, about Captain Rodriguez's warning, and then he added his own assessment. High Command, I have served the Dracnari Empire faithfully for 30 cycles. I have never questioned my orders or my duty, but I am questioning them now. The humans are not primitives. They are not weak. They are apex predators who have been observing us far longer than we have observed them. What we witnessed was a carefully controlled demonstration. Their true capabilities are beyond our current understanding. Engaging them would not result in war. It would result in our extinction. He paused, his claws hovering over the input controls. They could have destroyed the Silent Talon. They chose conversation instead. But make no mistake, this is a species that has weaponized mercy itself. They disabled our ship to prove they can disable an entire fleet. I believe them. I recommend immediate withdrawal of all military forces. I recommend opening diplomatic channels. I recommend we treat humanity as equals, not as conquest targets. Because if we do not, we will learn what it means to be the prey instead of the predator. Vecren read the message 3 times. It was the end of his career. High Command would never forgive this recommendation. They might court-martial him, strip his rank, imprison him for cowardice, but his crew would live. The Warfleet might live. 15,000 Dracnari who did not deserve to die in an unwinnable war might live. That was worth his career. Worth his honor. Worth everything. Send it, he ordered. Marana pressed the control. The message burst outward through quantum channels, traveling instantly across 40 light-years of space. The timer showed 28 minutes remaining. Now what? Therax asked. Now we wait, Vecren replied. We wait and see if wisdom can overcome pride. The minutes crawled past with agonizing slowness. Vecren sat in his command chair, watching the timer count down. His crew worked quietly, running diagnostics, analyzing data, waiting. At 15 minutes, the view screen activated again. Captain Rodriguez appeared, her expression unchanged. Commander Vecren, I have monitored your transmission to High Command. That took courage. More courage than most possess. Will it be enough? Vecren asked. Will they listen? We will know soon. Your High Command has been analyzing the data you sent. They have been debating among themselves. Some council attack despite the risks. Others advocate caution. It is a difficult decision for them, as it was for me. I know, Commander, and I want you to understand something. Humanity does not want to be your enemy. We want to live peacefully, to explore the galaxy, to learn and grow, but we will not allow ourselves to be conquered. We will not allow our people to be enslaved. We have prepared for this moment for 20 years. We have built these ships, developed these weapons, created these technologies, all to ensure that when we were discovered, we would be strong enough to demand respect. The timer reached 5 minutes, Captain, Vecren said. May I ask a question? Of course. How did you advance so quickly? How did your species develop technology so far beyond ours in such a short time? Captain Rodriguez smiled, a sad expression. Fear, Commander. We intercepted Dracnari transmissions 15 years ago. We learned about your empire. We saw what you did to conquered species. And we realized that if we did not become strong enough to defend ourselves, we would suffer the same fate. Fear focused our entire civilization on a single goal: survival. Every resource, every mind, every moment was dedicated to ensuring that when the Dracnari came, we would be ready. Fear is a powerful motivator, Commander. It can push a species to achieve the impossible. The timer showed 2 minutes. Vecren's console beeped. An incoming transmission from High Command. Commander, Marana said. Fleet-wide broadcast from High Command. Maximum priority. On speakers. The voice of Supreme Commander Jacros filled the bridge. Cold, authoritative, absolute. All vessels of Warfleet Omega. This is High Command. New orders effective immediately. Stand down all offensive operations. Maintain defensive posture only. Do not, I repeat, do not engage the human fleet. All ships are to hold current positions and await further instructions. High Command out. The timer reached 0, but nothing happened. No demonstration. No disabled ships. No violence. Just silence and the feeling of a universe holding its breath. Captain Rodriguez appeared on the view screen one final time. This time she was smiling genuinely. Thank you, Commander Vecren. You may have just prevented a war that would have devastated both our peoples. Your ship systems will be fully restored within the hour. We will be monitoring to ensure your Warfleet complies with the stand-down order. If they do, there will be no further action from us. Just distance and perhaps in time dialogue. What happens now? Vecren asked. Now we see if your leaders are wise enough to choose peace over conquest. We see if they can accept that humanity will not be victims. And we see if two species who stood at the brink of war can find a better path forward. I hope we can, Commander. I truly hope we can. The transmission ended. Vecren slumped in his command chair. The tension that had held him rigid for the past hour suddenly released. He felt exhausted, drained, but profoundly relieved. Around the bridge, his crew began to stir. Quiet conversations. Nervous laughter. The sound of people realizing they had survived something that could have killed them all. Therax approached the command chair. Commander, you saved us. You saved the entire fleet. Perhaps, Vecren replied. Or perhaps I merely delayed the inevitable. Time will tell. Either way, we are alive to see it. One by one, the silent Talon systems came back online. Propulsion, weapons, sensors. Everything restored as promised. The ship was whole again, functional, ready, but nothing would ever be the same. The certainty was gone. The confidence, the belief that the Galactic Empire was the dominant power in this region of space. Now they knew the truth. They had encountered something beyond their ability to defeat, and that knowledge would change everything. Vecren stood and addressed his crew. What we witnessed today stays with us. We have seen the future, and it is not what we expected. Humanity is not weak. They are not primitive. They are survivors who will do whatever necessary to protect themselves, and perhaps that is something we should understand better, because strength without wisdom leads to destruction. Today we chose wisdom. I hope our empire can do the same. The crew saluted in response. They understood. The galaxy had changed today. Power had shifted, and the Galactic Empire would have to adapt or face extinction. As the silent Talon prepared to return home, Vecren looked at the human fleet one last time. They maintained their perfect formation, powerful and ready but not attacking. They had demonstrated their strength and then offered peace. It was a lesson the Galactic Empire desperately needed to learn. Whether they would learn it remained to be seen.